Hello everyone. I am not sure whether this is working properly. It's asking me to rotate my phone, so let me see if that makes any difference. I just don't like that perspective. I'm going back to where I was. No, wants me to turn my phone around. Okay, so we've got a slightly different perspective to usual today, but welcome. Today we are going to be talking about networks and networking from a couple of different aspects. You've been reading the articles that I've been posting during the course of this week, and hopefully, well, I see from some of the comments certainly that they've been provoking some thinking and some different perspectives on. Hi, Michelle. Good. Okay, so you can see me properly. Thank you. That's awesome. Good to know. Thank you very much. For those of you who have come on possibly for the first time and who don't know me, my name is Megan Hudson. I am a business and marketing coach, and I specialize in working with coaches to help them find and define their niche and then to accelerate their sales and marketing. And that's part of the reason why I decided to do this 100-day challenge, just to kind of, give us all a little bit of a kick in the butt in typical coaching style to finish the year off as strong as possible. So today I want to start off by telling you an unusual story, but hopefully it'll make you think slightly differently. I live in an area where we are still classed as agricultural holdings, and one of the roads that all of us as residents use on a frequent and sometimes even daily basis hasn't yet been tarred, so it's still gravel. And the road condition deteriorates quite a lot, particularly when it rains in the summer, but even just from the constant use, there are vehicles of all sizes going along, and potholes develop and everything. And there's this chap, Albert, he's got this wonderful full face, and every time you go past, you get this like, hey, and a big wave and a smile, and I just found him such an incredible inspiration. What Albert does is he fills in the potholes that develop and the ruts that develop so that it helps to kind of, ease things for your motor vehicle. Now, the reason why I'm talking about him is there are actually a couple of reasons. Firstly, Albert has been very careful about identifying his target market. So he's got almost like a captive market of the people who live in this area, who use that road to commute on a daily basis. Hi, Sally. Good to see you. And that means that over time, we have become familiar with seeing Albert, with greeting him. Some of us we've gotten to know his name as a community. When he recently had a baby, I did a collection of baby clothes for him. So, Albert is a very familiar and I wouldn't necessarily say loved fixture in our community, but we have gotten to know, like, and trust him. In fact, he's one of those people that we go to as a source of information about any, potential, if he's noticed anything out of the ordinary. And he really looks out for our community. One of the things that we do on a regular basis as we're going past is we will tip Albert. So he earns an income from doing like quite a menial job. And as I said, the reason why I find him such an inspiration is because every time you go past, there is this blooming smile on his face. And I just respect him for that. I really respect him for finding joy in the work that he does. But a little while ago, a friend and I had started up a local farmers market. In fact, it's going back a couple of years. Started up a local farmers market in our area. And who did we look to become the car guard at the market? Albert. So that meant that he was not only working during the week and earning, tips from people as they drove past, people in the community, giving him tips, giving him food. There are people who feed him every single day. But in addition, he then, got extra work. Okay, so Michelle remembers Albert from when she used to live in this area, which is not that long ago. And so he got additional income out of us. He got more business out of his clients when we engaged him as a car guard at the farmers market. Now, I know it's a strange story to be telling, but the principle, I have been talking during the course of this week about identifying or leveraging your network, building that know, like, and trust factor, and then also looking how, instead of going out and finding new clients that you have to develop a brand new relationship with, I've been speaking about how perhaps you can get further into your existing clients, which is just so much easier. And Albert just gives a very nice, simple example of how being present on a daily basis, being consistent, he was reliable. I mean, it doesn't matter what the weather is like, he is going to be there. And that's one of the other things that I say to you, make sure that you show up consistently and are visible so that you are top of mind when people think of somebody who does the work that you do. Another example of this was I spent a couple of years working as the external marketing and PR consultant and member communications person for the professional body for coaching in South Africa. And quite often we would be contacted by the media to, provide coaches for various TV shows, radio shows, or interviews and that. And, truly the people that were coming to the regular functions, the people that I was meeting and seeing on a regular basis, those are the people who easily came to mind. And so those were the people who would be, I would suggest to the committee, hi Joe, good to see you, who I would suggest to the executive committee to put forward for these, to represent the organization and the coaching profession as a whole when these opportunities arose. So it's really, really important to be consistent and to be visible within your various networks, because it can lead to additional business and it can lead to you kind of getting deeper and deeper into those clients. Now, if we look at just networking in terms of choosing what events to go to, you need to network with intent. You need to have some kind of a strategy. So it's all very well to stick to networking events that involve your colleagues and peers in your profession. But I don't think that is going to be a sustainable or large source of income for you. And that's why I'm saying that we need to look outside of these networks and have a strategy around who our preferred clients are, who it is that we want to work with, and find out where it is that we can come into contact with them and start to create a presence. So that we become that top of mind person, the first person that they think of. And at all times when you are looking at creating a strategy around networking, refer back to the goals that you have now set for this challenge. And I'm sure that at least one of them has got something to do with how much money you would like to earn, or, you know, what kind of turnover you'd like to do, or how many clients you'd like to get. So make sure, if a networking opportunity or a Zoom call that you can participate in comes your way, measure it against your strategic goals and see how it fits. So is it going to help you meet that goal? Hi B, gosh, you're the green monster today, the green lurgy. Love that. Also, like Albert, expand your network in and through your existing clients. So he, through being consistently there and top of mind, and through our, as a community, getting to know, like, and trust him, he expanded his network, but also he expanded his earning capacity and potential within his existing network. So he didn't have to go looking outside of the network that he had built in our community in order to get more business. He was the top of mind person who was, you know, the first person who came to mind when we were looking for somebody to act as a car guard. Now, of course, we do know that consistently more than 70% of our business as coaches comes from word of mouth referrals. So there's a sort of almost an onus on us to keep working our networks and to keep those networks alive, because you never know when you know, some business or, you know, some advantage may come out of it. I'll use my husband for an example. He has got some consulting work from kind of, you know, just keeping his network alive with a company that he worked for. Gosh, I think it must have been about 7 years ago. So, you know, as I say, you never know when the timing is going to be right for somebody in your network, for a potential client to want to do business with you. And it's so important that you maintain that know, like, and trust continuum. You maintain your kind of front of mind presence and visibility. And, you know, just even without pestering your clients. You've got the ICF research now, so that is, you know, pull something from that and you know, write an email that you can send to the kinds of people who would be looking for coaches. It shows that you are in touch with the latest and you're up to date with the most current information in our industry and in our profession. And I think it's, you know, just reflects really, really well on you. The other thing is to identify, and I know that there are a couple of people in my network who continually refer business to me, who continually refer people to me. So those are my door openers, and I'm sure that a lot of you have got similar door openers where when you really, really think about it, these, you know, often you will have been put in touch with somebody and it's come from a particular person. And those are important people to appreciate and to acknowledge for the fact that they are sending business your way and that they are recommending you. I wanted to just quickly refer, in one of the articles that I've given you a link to this week, I took something out of some research that was done last year by Nikita Blanche at the University of Stellenbosch, and he and a couple of colleagues looked into what factors people report from that it takes to make a sustainable, and they were looking at executive coaching, but I think that the results can be extrapolated across the broader coaching industry. But they looked at the various factors that clients reported around what you needed to do, or what they were doing, or what they felt helped them create a sustainable executive coaching practice. And one of the things that came up really, really strongly was leveraging their networks. Now, here's a funny thing. I know that all of us shy away from making cold calls. It's just something that we don't enjoy. It's not natural. It's always awkward contacting a stranger for the first time and trying to start building a relationship with them. And there's some certain ways that perhaps you can pave the way. So I'll give you an example, again, using my husband. He is on the board of the professional body for supply chain, which is the industry that he's in. And he's been tasked, they've got a particular project that he is focusing on. And he said to me, it's so much easier to pick up the phone and phone someone and start a conversation where you've never spoken to that person before, never met them, but start that conversation under the umbrella of representing this professional body. And the people that he is contacting are all potential clients. And so, this is kind of one way for him. He said the difference in mindset when I am phoning in my capacity as a board member versus when I phone in my my own personal business capacity is tremendous. And so perhaps you want to consider in some way looking at, forming part of a professional body or joining a professional body in some capacity. And I know a lot of you watching have at some time or another given a lot of your time to commence with the professional coaching body in South Africa. But using your role within that professional body in an ethical way, and in a way that will benefit the professional body, but that'll kind of give you that initial foot in the door, so that you can feel a lot more comfortable about contacting that person. So that's just one suggestion. I do often suggest to my clients that they consider joining. Becoming committee members in their professional bodies, because it does just give them that extra what can I say, stature, probably not the right word. So during the course of this week, I referred you to an article where I called Your Network is Your Net Worth, where I had looked at a Harvard Business Review article written back in 2006. And it encouraged you to map your network and kind of break it up into three different categories. So the one being key people in your network, then the second category being people who introduced you. Oh, Catherine says cold calling leaves me cold. Yeah, doesn't it just? All of us. I think it takes a particular mindset to kind of get your head around cold calling, actually, and contacting people out of the blue. And I must say, One of the things that really does my head in is people will, request to be my friend on Facebook, for example, and I will accept their friend request, but I'm very careful that once I've accepted their friend request, I go into editing my friends list, and I add them to the list where I say I don't know them personally, and if they look a little bit iffy, I even restrict them, which means that they don't get to see what I'm posting on my personal profile, but I'll categorize them in different ways, like that they have I've possibly met them through joining one of the online groups, or something like that. But it does my head in when people contact me via Messenger immediately after I've accepted their friend request to either try and sell me something, get me to join their Facebook group, or just like there's this one smarmy guy who kept on kept on Facebook messaging me, how are you? So I've blocked him completely now. So I think he was one of those people who prey on what's the word, susceptible women, or they look for potential like a little bit of a scam artist. So it just sometimes the way that people utilize the various means that we have of getting in touch with potential customers and clients, that they don't spend any time whatsoever building and nurturing a relationship. So anyway, the second category was people who introduced you to the key people in your network, so the connectors. And we all have those. I mean, I was saying earlier that I know that there are a lot of people who constantly refer business to me. So those are the kinds of people who would go into that particular category and column. And then the third one is, who have you connected to other people? And it's just quite interesting when you do that exercise to see what patterns do start to emerge. And the fact that there are some people who just come up time and time again when you are doing this exercise around networking. So they are really key strategic people in your network, people that through whom you are introduced to people that you then subsequently get business from. So it's a good audit to do. It's a good exercise to do. And the other thing that this review identified was two principles. So the one was that we tend to hang around people who we have things in common with, because obviously, it's really easy to do that and you don't have to do half the work. And this is where coaches fall into this trap of attending coaching networking sessions and coaching meetings, and just always spending their time around coaches, and would then turn around and say to me with absolute conviction, but I do network. But when you actually look at whether or not the type of networking functions that they are choosing to attend will help them meet their goals, they're networking in the wrong places. So it's really important to get to know who your clients are, where your ideal clients are hanging out and spending their time, so that you can make sure that you are appearing there and getting to know what their concerns and issues might be. You really do want to start getting inside the head of your clients. The other principle, so that's the self-similarity principle, and then the other principle that these researchers identified was called the proximity principle, and that where we limit our networks to the people that we spend the most time with. So this could be our friends, our family, it could even be like a sporting group, and you know, we don't kind of broaden our networks outside of that. And I wanted to, you know, speaking of things like our, I was going to say extramural activities, but that sounds too much like we're at school, but our social activities, how often do we actually really get to know the people that we are networking with in a running club or a walking club, you know, some kind of a sports club? How often I mean, if I was to ask you what so-and-so actually does for a living, would you be able to tell me? And would you be able to tell me how many children they have? You know, give me real detail, because because we've got, say, you know, we're part of a running club and we've got that in common, or a walking club, and that's what we've got in common. That's all we talk about. We talk about nice walking venues. We talk about a great walk that we had. We may talk about the distance that we've done, but we don't go that, you know, any further or deeper. I mean, I know my husband, he's a keen cyclist, and he and his friend, when they go cycling afterwards, the two of them, well, they are good friends, and we do know their, you know, their background and personal circumstances really well. But you put a bunch of cyclists together, and all they can talk about is the flipping gears and, you know, this, that, and drop posts and all kinds of you know, stuff on bicycles, and they don't take the time to actually move beyond that level of conversation to getting to know each other on a personal level. So I want to encourage you in those types of situations to be more mindful about the fact that you may actually be sitting in the presence of a potential client, and it is important for you to really build relationships and get to know the people within all of your networks, your social and your professional networks. I wanted to, you know, earlier this week, I was thinking how grateful I am that I know, and I'm changing the subject a little bit, that I know my personal introduction. It's almost like you know, a song that I can just repeat off the top of my mind. So you know how it goes, that I normally introduce myself as a dog-loving, tree-hugging marketing and business coach, and then I go on to talk about helping, you know, coaches find and define their niche and accelerate their marketing and sales. And it just struck me with present circumstances that I'm so grateful that I know that so well, that it's top of mind. And I want to ask all of you, like, your task for today is to start thinking about crafting a statement about who you are, what it is that you do, and who you do it for, and what you offer them, what problem you solve. You remember Albert, the problem he solves for us is filling in those potholes and all the ruts in the road so that we can comfortably ride along the gravel road. He solves a problem for us, and we reward him for it as a community. So I want you to really think, and Albert, again, is a wonderful example of the difference between features and benefits, okay? So the feature is that he physically fills in, he functionally fills in the potholes and the ruts in the road. That is what he physically and functionally does. The benefit to us as a community is that we get a smooth ride. We feel You know, we're not like jolted as we drive along in our cars. So our benefit is a much more comfortable drive over that stretch of road, thanks to the work that Albert does on a consistent basis. So you've got features, which is what Albert is actually doing, the function that he is fulfilling, but the benefit, think of what is the benefit that working with you gives your clients when you are starting to craft this introductory statement. I've been dipping into Amy Cuddy's book, Presence. Now, she did one of the most popular TED Talks of all time. I think it was called Power Presence, but you can certainly Google her. And her research as a psychologist has been into how we show up and what defines presence, which is one of the underlying critical success factors for certain people. And she talks about when she just graduated as a student, what the various universities would do is give the grad students an opportunity to meet with faculty from a variety of different universities and researchers working on a variety of different projects. And Amy had identified some certain key people that she really wanted to meet and get in front of at this particular networking event. Blow me down if she doesn't arrive and get into the lift, and she's in the lift going up to the top floor of this building, I think it was, with three of the kind of top, the people at the top of her list. And so as the lift was going up, these people said to her, so are you here as a grad student? Yes, she said, and will tell us about what you do and what you would like to do and where you see your future. And she was so overwhelmed. She, was so underprepared that she says she completely fluffed it, and she made the most awful mess and hash of actually being able to kind of position and sell herself to these dream people that she would absolutely give her eye teeth to work with. So we must be able to quickly and clearly tell people what it is that we do, and it needs to be so ingrained that it's almost like, it just you can come to the front of your mind the minute you need to call it up and make it front of mind. The other thing is, going back to the point that I made about 70% on average of our business we report as coming from word of mouth referral from our clients. The clearer and simpler that we can be about telling people what it is that we do, so that we start to actually stand for something. I mean, I know in my network, a lot of people call me the niche guru or the niche expert or the niche coach. And so I've gotten known for that. Amy Cuddy, it's Cuddy. And her book is called Presence. It's really a good read and an easy read. Sorry, Belinda's just asked Amy who, so that's why I'm digressing. But that's really well worth reading. It's quite and she actually she goes into defining what it is that that gives presence. Like, what are the key core criteria that make up when you would say somebody has presence? What are the core criteria that define that? And in her TED talk, she actually says that one of the things that we can do when we are going into a situation where we aren't comfortable and aren't feeling confident or at ease. So, for example, that cold calling type situation is we can actually adopt a pose where we almost like make ourselves bigger and larger. We pull ourselves, up and stand or sit up straight. And there's a whole lot of kind of psychological and physiological changes that take place in our body that actually help us to get that confidence. I think it releases some of the neurotransmitters and the hormones that help put us in the state of mind where we know that we have something of value to offer this person, and so we speak with confidence and we look as though we're confident rather than kind of, oh well, I'm a coach, and I work mostly with I like working with leaders, but I'll also work through all levels in an organization. You're not going to hire me. You really aren't, if I'm going to conduct myself like that. But whereas if I come to you and say I am an established coach, I've been coaching for X number of years, and I'm really, really great at working with people at a particular level within an organization who are going through specific kinds of transitions or changes or stages in their work life. I do work outside, coaching work outside of that, but that is the area that I really am passionate about working in. What a big difference. You can already see it. So so Amy Cuddy looks at how to project ourselves in a very positive and what's the word? My brain isn't functioning properly, but a very positive and confident way. Now, changing the subject very slightly, I was going back to referring to that research about the fact that we report as coaches that 70% of our business comes from word of mouth referrals. And I certainly think that I personally can attest to that. I mean, I get the majority of my work from word of mouth referrals, although more and more I'm getting work because I am showing up on a consistent basis online in a way that is relevant, hopefully, and informative to my clients. And we know that from a neuroscientific point of view, they have now identified 7 stages in the client's buying journey, and I will go into this in one of the coming weeks. But that takes the client from being a brand agnostic, so somebody who doesn't know about you at all, to somebody who is what we call a brand advocate, who goes out there and tells people about you. And really, that is part of what we want to be able to do, is to take our clients or take people on that journey. And sometimes it might not even be somebody that you do business with, somebody who is essentially what you would define as a client, but it might be someone who is part of your network, who is your brand advocate, that key person, that key connector who goes out there and tells other people on your behalf. If you want to do this work and you want to work with somebody who's really good at it, then this is the person you need to go to. That's a brand advocate. You may not get actual business from them and they may not be an actual customer, but they're still your brand advocate, and you never know where they might pop up. So always be aware that these people can take the most unexpected forms. The other concept that I really like to think about and work on and play around with is in 1929, the concept of the 6 degrees of separation was first introduced. And for those of you who haven't come across it before, it basically says that between you and the person you would most like to, and any person in the world that you would like to meet, there are 6 degrees of separation. In other words, there are 5 people between you and the person you would most like to meet. And you'd be surprised when you actually start to look at the people in your network and then who they know and who they know. When you start getting to know and in this process of expanding your network, you would be flabbergasted to find out how quickly and easily you could actually get in front of the person that you most want to get in front of. And it's really just about getting to know your the people in your network a little bit better and a little bit more in depth, and really exploring who it is that they know. At the beginning of the week, I spoke about habits and asked you all to pick one habit that you were going to stick with or start implementing straight away that would help to get you closer to reaching your goals. And at the same time, I also spoke to you about the fact that the statistics show quite reliably that it takes between 5 to 12 contacts. If you are meeting someone cold for the first time, it takes between 5 to 12 points of contact with them before you have kind of traveled along that know, like, and trust continuum enough for them to actually possibly want to do business with you. And 80% of all business takes place in this 5th to 12th space of contact. So I think I referred you to one of my videos that gives you a couple of strategies that you can follow and a couple of things that you can do to actually start from being completely cold with somebody to actually moving into that space of having a 5th to 12th point of contact with them, which is where they actually get to the point of wanting to work with you. And remember, only 10% of people actually sustain contact and continue contacting someone that they may have only met for the first time. Only 10% of people continue beyond their 4th attempt to kind of get business out of somebody that they've met, somebody that they've met cold. So Sally says, please repost that video as I haven't seen it. I will tag you in that post, but it was Monday's post, and I gave a link to the video, but I will tag you, Sally, no problem, so that you can find it easily. So my question is, are you a 10%er or aren't you? And I know it sounds quite wearying to, have to construct or structure a strategy to show up in a relevant and unsmarmy way, if there's such a word, for those 5th to 12th connections. But in the video, I do give a couple of ideas for you so that you can remain relevant. And I referred again earlier, you've now got access to 2 ICF. I've posted during the last week and this week I posted the executive summary of the global survey of coaching, and then the ICF had also done a quick 6-month research into the kind of COVID environment, and done a scan of the impact of the coronavirus on the coaching industry. So there are 2 resources that you can draw from and use to send really, really interesting and up-to-date, valuable and viable information to potential clients, so that it positions you as a subject matter expert, as somebody who is keeping up to date with the industry, who is informative and educational. So that's all I have for you today. It's been lovely spending this time with you, and thank you so much for joining me. I will watch your Facebook feeds for tomorrow's task. We're heading into the weekend, so I'm going to keep it quite light, and I will see you on video this time next week. But in the meantime, I'm looking forward to watching all your comments and progress and everything in the group. And again, just wonderful having you along for the journey in this 100-day challenge. Can you believe we're 2 weeks down? We're almost 2 weeks down out of 14, hey? We've only got 12 weeks to go. Time does fly, doesn't it? Well, thanks everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. And as I say, I will see you the same time next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.